Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show.
On a beach in the sand, I think of you. I think of you. Did you realize I love you all my life? And when you're gone, I'm more alone.
Welcome back. We're coming to about 1 year anniversary of this show, and it's been quite a ride. We've gone over a lot of things. In the future, we will get our Zoom thing set up, and I will be having more interviews with people, live to discuss some of the more deeper things with some of the more deeper people. Let me introduce my new mug here. Now, it's not just here for decoration. It serves a purpose. I've had to spend a lot of time editing to get the popping sound out of my videos that happens when I talk. These microphones are so sensitive that they pick up everything, and every time you open your mouth, it goes pop, 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 pop. And you have to edit it out, and it takes a lot of time. Come to find out, the reason the popping is going on in the first place is because of the fact that you need moisture. I need water. So they tell me I have to keep drinking water to stop the pops. So this is not wine or anything. We'll save that for later. But it's supposed to minimize the pops. Thank you. So, in review, we've covered a lot of things. We've covered a lot of information pertaining to the history, the prehistory, Earth's prehistory. We've covered the creation of the Creator. Now, let me explain to you what that actually means. The creation of the Creator. That's really a misconception of the reality of it. The reality of it is more of a maceration of the Creator. It's more of a matriculation of the Creator. It's not a creation of the Creator. The Creator was never created. Now, let me explain what that means exactly. In a corporeal world, in a corporeal existence, which all this stuff is, this thing, it has solid matter. We live in a hologram, however, it is a solid state hologram. It's a hologram. The building blocks for this table are actually set into a pattern, and basically made solid by the molecular structure of the objects. So, but actually the basis of this is a hologram, but a solid state one. So when people talk about a holographic universe, that's also a misconception because it's a holographic universe made solid. Now, it stays a hologram from the perspective of the creator, simply because the creator can see through the material aspect of it. We cannot. It's not a hologram to us. It's actually called a table. It's actually called real life, a wall if you run to it. From the perspective of the creator, it's a hologram because he can actually see right through all of that. And I've heard a lot of reports about aliens, and it seems like aliens, from what they say about them, I've never seen one personally, but what they say about them, they can walk through walls. So apparently this would be a hologram to them too, if they're walking through walls and appearing out of nowhere and doing all this kind of drama, all the things that they say they're capable of doing. So we're moisturizing. When we say the creator was never created, what I mean by that is because we live in a corporeal world, meaning matter complex, time is in a corporeal system. You cannot have spirituality, there's no such thing as time. And so basically, on a spiritual level, there's no such thing as solid state either. Spiritually, you can walk through things. So when you alleviate time from an equation, when time does not exist, what that means is there is no beginning and there is no end. This will be a concept for some people that will be very challenging and you'll never be able to conceptualize. But, however, it is a fact. If you take away time, there is no beginning. So if you take away time when it comes to the creator, it had no beginning because it never had an ending. We cannot perceive such things. But what we do have, and we've proven that through religion, is we have faith. We have what is called faith. We have the ability to believe whatever we want. And I think that what I'm saying here makes the most sense. I'm not going to tell you where the creator came from because the created can never conceive the creator. I've tried to, now what I do as a spiritualist, I communicate with Big Curt. I ask Big Curt, tell me where the creator came from. And this is exactly what Big Curt said. He never left. He never came. He's everywhere. So you just have to leave it at that. And so we have the maturation, the matriculation of the creator. Understand the role of the creator, the goal of the creator. What the creator is trying to do is simply this. You have a thing called existence. It permeates everything, everywhere. That is what the creator is. The creator wanted to do something out of curiosity. He wanted to see what it was like to live as a butterfly. He wanted to see what it felt like to live as a tree. He wanted to see what it felt like to live as a bird and a bee. He wanted to see what it felt like to be human and have all the issues that humans have to go through. The creator is matriculating even as we speak. Right now, he's learning through me what it likes to be this dude named Curt. I think he might find me boring because I'm not trying to get into anything dramatic. However, I'm here to do his work, to try to explain to people what he is. You're not going to get this in church. Church, they're going to give you a God that you have to fear because he's going to kick your ass and send you to hell if you don't pray. See, and that's a horrifying notion for anyone who calls themselves spiritual. This is how you can tell a person who has really mastered spirituality. If they're still telling you you're going to go to hell, then they have flunked the course. If they believe that Satan, the devil, is behind all kinds of negativity and all that, and the fallen angels, or the worst one, the biggest goofball thing I ever heard is the curse of Ham. The Bible explains that Noah got drunk and got a little warm, I guess. So he took his clothes off and he was naked, and then he went to sleep like that, naked and drunk, and his son Ham came in and discovered him, and he said, "Wow, look at Dad," And I guess he didn't do anything about it, or didn't do something. So later on, when Noah's other son came in, he laughed at him and stuff. "Oh, look at that, blah, blah, blah." So instead of getting mad at the son who laughed, he got mad at the son who ignored him and let him just stay there. Biblically, the way the story goes is because Ham did that, God cursed all the people, cursed a certain group of people, calling them the descendants of Ham. And these people will be the ones who will ultimately become the slaves of the world. Like black people. Black people were supposed to be slaves to the world because of this stupid story about the curse of Ham. Now, my biggest problem with this whole thing is this. I am a part of the Creator, and so are you. And for any of us to allow such a idiotic story to represent the Creator that we're supposedly a part of, we represent the Creator. So how can we allow this language and all these misconceptions to go on? We're supposed to represent the Creator in a good way, not make him look like he's some kind of maniac, kind of goofball person that is putting people into slavery because Noah had a bad attitude. Another person told me black people were in slavery because of Adam and Eve. Eve ate the apple, and so that cursed the people. We as people need to have more respect for the Creator. We should stop trying to make the Creator sound like some kind of demonic idiot, because that's what the Bible makes him sound like. There are scriptures in there that are so horrifying that they're not even worth mentioning. I haven't even bothered to memorize them because I don't care to do so, simply because if pastors and ministers don't already know it, they know them, they heard them, they just say them anyway because they want you to be afraid. They want the more fear they can put into you, fear of the things that God will do to you, means the more you will come back and listen to them give you more fear. You fill up the Catholic Church. They got wealthy because they thought of a way to make money by saying, if you give us money, then we could assure that your parents who have died are going to go to heaven. If you don't, they're going to be stuck in purgatory. So depending upon how much money you give us, will determine how successful your parents will be in the afterlife. And then when asked, well, how much would it cost to make sure my father and my mother and my little brother who passed away go to heaven? And they would ask, well, how much you got? Well, I got about, $10,000 saved up. Okay, well, for 10 grand, you can probably get your grandmother too, and your grandpa, and for 10 grand, you can probably get about maybe 5, 6 people. Okay, give me your money. And people will do that, but it's such a, if we do not evolve spiritually, the world is condemned. The world is doomed. Aside from that, I said the last chapter was the last chapter. But in fact, it wasn't. I do have a bonus chapter. The bonus chapter, chapter 70, is called Infinity. And I'd like to show you to you right now. As a writer, what you try to do is when you write a book or a movie or anything, you try to hook it up so it has a flow to it, and within that flow, it hooks around and makes some sense. So that's what I tried to do with this particular book. I tried to hook it up so that it goes all the way around and back to the beginning where it explains itself. This chapter is an effort to try and do that. So I'd like to introduce you to the bonus chapter, Infinity. We'll be right back.
Bonus chapter 70, Infinity. It was raining early that Sunday morning when 2 future archaeology students that were attending college in the city of New York were on a field trip where they were able to view the megalithic ruins at Teotihuacan, Mexico. They were there to witness firsthand the intricate designs and architecture and seams between great stones that shaped the landscape that perhaps had been there for thousands of years. Their brows grew wet as their hearts beat fast as they hurried to prepare for the waiting host that would journey them to what could only be described as the greatest wonders they had ever seen. With only a few tools of excavation on hand, they need only their eyes to witness that which was before incomprehensible. As they drew nearer, the ruins seemed even larger and even more unbelievable than what their minds had conceived. Up and up they traveled until thin air began to squeeze their lungs, quickening their beating hearts and compressing their ears to make balance the pressures between them. Nothing could be more exciting than the promise of the witness. Nothing could be more exhilarating than the anticipation of the mysteries that lay ahead. What they were hoping to find was proof that an ancient, highly advanced civilization made beauty the wall and the pathways of the structures. What they were hoping to find was a reason for their being or their purpose. They stepped out of their transport vehicular only to find transport on the back of pack mules at a small village to traverse the steep mountainous range as they were taken to a place that had before been without visitation. Visitation only by the guide who had once found this place by mere chance after losing his way while on a dark and starless night after a few too many. The students found it difficult to believe that a night in this region could even be starless, as the stars seemed to be closer and brighter here than any stars seen anywhere on Earth. Yet he was sure that it was so, as they found no reason to to disbelieve him. The two were then fascinated to find an unexposed cave 10 feet downside a cliff that could only be reached by rappelling down into it. One by one, the eager two held rope provided by the guide, lowering themselves, then entering the mysterious orifice. This was the enigmatic den of fate. The rope was ingeniously affixed to a harness around the girth of the mules that had been tethered to raise them when they were ready to return from the seemingly unnatural hollow. The two surprisingly unafraid youths found themselves within the caverns after giving the event little time to be intelligently considered. They were elated to find the interior of the cave richly luminescent as the sun angled perfectly in the western sky 2 hours after high noon. They searched to find something, anything that could make sense of this journey. And like a sudden miracle, that something special appeared. At the base of the wall surface, on the side nearest the entrance, a circular cap-like stone was buried. The two removed their gloves and began to explore the tactile surface of the object to discover that it most resembled some kind of egg. Perhaps an egg of a prehistoric bipedal winged reptile, since the size was huge yet indistinguishable without further examination. The egg said 1/2 meter, while its circumference was 1/2 the measure. Earth tones were the brown and green and blue wonder. They knew that they needed the help of the guide to determine the best way to approach the matter. So one was hoisted up, while the guide then lowered down to make an intelligible plan of action. With tools, they then removed dirt, leaving a 1-foot gap exposing what appeared to be a surface. That with an artful design that could not have occurred in nature. This design was reminiscent of something never before seen. The guide recalled seeing this in a dream that he had only a few nights before. In fact, all three recalled also in a dream a vision that they had recently been viewed while in this same cave with these same people. They removed a sack from the side of the pack that had been lowered before all had entered. One, then two, then all three pulled upon the object when it suddenly began to rise, though seemingly on its own. Up and up, it floated about waist high, then settled into the arms of one of the three. Amazingly, it seemed to have no weight of any measure, just to float on an inch of air between it and the hands of the holder. Up from the bowels of the caves hurried the explorers, with the enigmatic egg-like object tightly closed into the backpack of the first to exit. It would be 3 days as the students hastened to plan their exodus, all the while knowing the complexities of removing artifacts from governmental restraints. The guide, though loyal to his country, could only believe, because of his clandestine dream, the object was in fact in the right hands of the ones who were the most destined to possess it. They need only to conjure an ingenious plan to breach customs, when one of them remembers seeing a wonderful hat at the small village they passed near the border town airport that would take them to the international airport, then on their way back non-stop to the Big Apple City. Onto the head of Dave, the tallest of the three students, went the bright yellow hat, while into the hat box went 2 towels to pad the box and the weightless egg. Dave need only to tie the front of his long-sleeved shirt to his midsection while wearing the hat and walking erect. Shoulders back, toe heel, placing one elegant foot in front of the other. A strut that he had witnessed on the runways of New York's finest fashion affairs, as he smoothly passed the guards unnoticed through customs, gently balancing the hat box on pedestaled fingers. As its weightlessness went unassuming, then on to the jet, then on to the big city. They made arrangements to be picked up at the airport by a fellow student whose female gender would make more appropriate the large yellow hat and box that concealed the ancient artifact. Without hesitation, arrangements were made to meet their professor, not at the school, but rather at the emergency room at New York Presbyterian Hospital. It was there where the science professor would partner with a friend that could breach the surface of the object through magnetic imaging, perhaps to expose the mysteries that the students had conveyed to their professor. What was then discovered was beyond belief when the object rendered the most fascinating information about the interior of the object. Though the size of the outer was easily measured, the interior seemed to be immeasurable with infinite capaciousness. Far beyond understanding, the inner space measured billions upon billions of immeasurable space. Like star systems upon star systems without in or outer integument. Though seemingly hard, the surface of the egg was surprisingly soft. As they quickly grabbed an object to breach the shell, to discover what was awaiting inside. Once the casing was punctured, 3 slow-moving fractures began to inch towards the center. The doctor began to insert a small pin light. He then slowly pressed the switch. As soon as the light entered the egg, the tool was forcibly rejected. The breach then shut before their very eyes and sealed completely. The egg seemed to then float upward, ever so slowly, towards a thin layer of gaseous transparency, like a stream of strange icy hotness, then veiled just beyond vision as they gasped for air, as all were in witness. As it left a light residue, a vague shadowy image sustained itself, before it slowly and soundlessly vanished into thin air. The egg suddenly disappeared into an empty yet wonderfully silent space, only to be seen again by God. A sacred, uncovered, dimensional aspect such as this could only exist within the mind of God. This was yet another of the many endless incarnations of the birth of the universe, unfamiliar and mystifying. Creation in its most primordial state, life and existence both spiritual and corporeal, to exist and rejuvenate still, a ceaseless perpetual holographic simulation in God's illimitable mind. The glow of the pen light then formed a symbol. The symbol was analogous to a question. A boundless, immeasurable mystery. Its subjective quickly became obvious. Its existence was once again the reason for a new, yet endless, perpetuating, and immortal interrogative. The end. Again.
Subscribe and push the like button.
I hope that made sense to you. What happened is the creator never died in the first place. The creator is a perpetually creation moving thing. You go from that to a multiverse. You know, you creation keeps on creating. It never ends. So we like to thank everybody for coming, and we have a lot to accomplish as spiritual beings. And I'm glad that everybody is along for the ride. Ultimately, like I said, we're going to have Zoom, and we'll be getting into some deep conversations because I have a lot of deep conversations to give. Thank you for coming. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I love everybody. And
Love me too, love me too, love me too. Right there, right there. Love me too. Love me too. Love me too. Love me too. Love me
subscribe and push the like button.